Serie A coming down to the final day. 1 point separates Napoli and Inter at the top of the table. We will know who will win Scudetto when these two play tomorrow. And to break down both of these matches, let's bring in our Serie A analyst, Marco Messina.
Craziest Serie A season I've ever witnessed in my lifetime comes to an end on Friday. Will it be Napoli who win, or will it be Inter? The scenario could be very simple, or it could be complicated. For Napoli, you win against Cagliari in front of a sold-out Maradona against a Cagliari team that has nothing to play for on paper. They're already safe from relegation, but of course the emotions will rise and they'll try to make the upset. They'll play spoiler. If Napoli win the game, you win the Scudetto, the fourth in the club's history. If they tie, all of a sudden they need Inter to either tie or lose to win the Scudetto. And if by some stretch of the imagination, Napoli lose to Cagliari and Inter tie Como, it goes to a one-off playoff final match on Monday to decide the Scudetto. Conte has one big doubt in the starting 11, and that's, do you play Neres, who could provide you that width, that speed, that unpredictability, which Napoli has lacked in the last few matches, the game against Genoa, the match against Parma, where they failed to score a goal, tying in those last two games, or do you go with Raspadori, a player who, anytime he's been called upon, has scored the important goals. He's got Napoli in this position to be 1 point above Inter, so that's the big doubt. Lobotka's not going to be there, Buongiorno's not going to be there. Huge misses for Napoli, but they should still be able to beat Cagliari. For Inter, Inzaghi's men still try to believe in the double, even if last week it was very disappointing. 2 times they went up above Lazio and they threw away the lead for small moments, for lack of concentration, in a game where Napoli had slipped up in their match, so they could have gone into this match with destiny in their own hands, but that's a situation that they've dealt in. Antonio Conte can do history. Very few people believed that Napoli would be a serious contender for the Scudetto, and all of a sudden, Conte could become the first Serie A coach to win the Scudetto with 3 separate teams. He's a serial winner. I find it hard to believe that Napoli's not going to do everything in their power to win this game. Scott McTominay has been on fire. I see Napoli getting the job done and winning the Scudetto, but as this Serie A season has shown us, anything could happen. It's the only race in all of Europe that has not been decided. And this Friday, we finally crown a winner.
So you heard Marco. He believes that Napoli will get it done. And you know, the beauty of the end of a season like this, when the Scudetto race is coming down to the very final day, is that both matches at the same time. So you'll have a lot of cell phones out on the bench for Inter watching what's going on in Napoli. Napoli just have to focus on their match, right? They just need to get that win at home against Cagliari. And Inter away at Como, not easy. We mentioned that this Como side is now 8 unbeaten. Where do you see who do you think has the easier match here? Is it Napoli because they're at home against Cagliari?
Cagliari, who were fighting safety until this past match day, they hammered Venezia, and so they're over the line and safe for next season. So you'd have to think Napoli at home at the Maradona, where they're so dominant defensively, they're going to have an incredible atmosphere on Friday night at this stadium. Let's be clear, Napoli have been lingering around the championship places for the last decade. Maurizio Sarri did it, and then Conte, and of course Spalletti, now the Italian manager, has done it as well. But this is a club that in their history have won 3 ever Scudetti. This is not a club that is expected to be in these positions. So this is still an incredibly special night for these fans. They get the lifeline of Inter drawing on match day 37. And so now you would think they show up to the stadium. And even though Napoli are not full of resource right now. They lost Kvaratskhelia in January, but even beyond that, you have injuries to Neres that has slowed him down, Buongiorno that slowed him down, Juan Jesus as well in defense. They have a lot of players, and obviously Stanislav Lobotka, probably the biggest right now. But I think they have enough, you would think, to beat Cagliari at home. Cagliari already safe from relegation. Cagliari, a side that are not brilliant for most of the season. You would think that Napoli can be able to get this job.
Some of the Serie A purists will tell you that this is a weak side to win Serie A, that they don't really want to see Napoli win Serie A because it's not the best side that they've seen. So that being said, what would be the main reason, if they do end up going on to win Serie A, what would be the main reason why they get it done?
Well, I think they have a spine that goes through this team, starting from Meret in goal through Buongiorno before he got injured, McTominay and Lobotka in that midfield, and Lukaku up front. That's pretty damn solid. That you look at a group of players like that, that can get you through big moments of the season. They can come up with big performances at key times. And you see here, one loss in the last 22 games. The biggest reason why Antonio Conte has become known for this, he knows how to win leagues. He knows how to get teams to buy into his methods and the amount of running that you have to do for him. And the biggest reason why they're going to go win the league is they're second in all of major European football in goals conceded. Only Athletic Club of La Liga have conceded fewer goals than Napoli's 27 this season. They've only scored 57, but they've only conceded 27 goals all season. That is a magnificent record. And so really in this season, when you look at their points tally, 79 points, they can get up to 80 or 82. Not a brilliant points tally to go and win a league like Serie A, but sometimes this season, all the draws that they picked up have been better than defeats, and they just grind out results and grind out results. I think this would have been a team that was more than worthy of Champions League, but I think if Inter were able to throw their best punch and not giving a lot, as much as they have to the Champions League, I think we would have seen Inter win the league. But based off of the situation they got dealt, based off of not having European football so they can throw everything into Serie A, and based off of what they brought in being enough, namely McTominay, Buongiorno, and Lukaku up front, they have enough to go and win this league as a result. So I agree with that assessment that they're not brilliant champions, but I mean, if you're a Napoli fan, who cares? Right. You're champions. You're not going to apologize for winning the Scudetto.
Without a doubt. And the fact that they didn't have European football, I think that plays just a massive part in today's football with the amount of fixtures that these teams play. It plays a huge part. And also having Antonio Conte as a manager when you don't have other competitions where he can work with you every single day and run this team, not having to worry about having to rotate this squad, I think is massive. Having that manager with not that many fixtures to be able to go out and win. What about Inter Milan? Because it's obviously the opposite. They've been in every competition. They're in the Champions League final. If they do end up somehow getting this Serie A title, what will be the reason?
Well, I think the reason why is because I think they have the best team in Italy. And you look at the squad that they have, from the wingbacks, Dumfries and Di Marco are unbelievable. That front two of Thuram and Lautaro Martinez, I think it will be because this is the most talented team. The biggest thing that they struggled with all season long was I still think it's a team that needs its best 11, all 11 of its best 11 players to consistently deliver performances. I think when the second you start to take pieces out of it, it just loses a little bit of that luster, loses a little bit of that thing that makes them special. This is about the cohesion that they have as a group. This is about the collective that they have built over the course of several seasons. And when you look at Inzaghi and what he's done this season, I think in the Champions League it has been spectacular. But I think if you look at the last two seasons, last year they run away with a Scudetto, but they lose in the round of 16 of the Champions League to Atletico. The year before, they get to the final of the Champions League, but they come up short in competing for the Scudetto. So I think this squad has the capacity to really go for one big championship a season. This year it was the Champions League. They have been amazing. What they did against Barcelona was unbelievable. But I think the fact that they're probably staring down the barrel of coming up short is because they just didn't have enough to go for everything. They were all the way into the Coppa Italia semifinal. They played the Supercoppa. They played the 2 games of the Supercoppa. And in total, over the course of the season, they have played 57 games. Yeah. If you go to a playoff, which is a lingering possibility, which we'll discuss, they will have played 60 games by the end of the season. It just is way too much for a squad that, frankly, is old. It's the oldest squad in Serie A. Average age is over the age of 30, which you do not see in modern football, and I just didn't think they can balance everything. They tried to. They lasted until the March international break, and then it kind of came unstuck.
57 games. I mean, it's incredible. It's how do you balance a side in that many competitions? It is a factor in today's football, the amount of fixtures that these teams have to play. Now, I think for the neutral, a Scudetto playoff, that one game playoff to win the title, I think would be absolute chaos and so much entertainment. Is that what we're hoping for as a neutral, just to see kind of a Super Bowl of Italian soccer?
That's what it would be. And it would actually be really interesting on a variety of counts. Let's first state how we get there. Yes. So Serie A decided we're not deciding the league championship nor the relegation places on tiebreakers, goal difference, wins, whatever. And so we're having a one-game playoff. The only way that we get there is if Napoli lose at home to Cagliari and Inter draw away at Como. It's a very specific set of results to get there. But the other thing, too, that would be interesting is, so this game is on Friday. The Champions League final is 8 days later. You're fitting a league title deciding match in between for Inter, you almost wonder if they rotate for the game because of how important the Champions League final is. So it would be absolute mayhem. I don't think this is going to happen, but my goodness, what an incredible scenario it would be. And it would be incredible fun for all of us that follow Italian football.
Yeah, without a doubt. And it would be interesting, but again, so much has to happen, right? The draw and the loss would have to happen. But it's going to be an interesting Friday for sure.